A lot of people have questions like, hey, should I farm? Should I push walkers? Should I take the urn? Should I farm on our side of the map or their side of the map? Should I keep farming? Is AFK farming bad? And the thing is, asking these questions is like a doctor treating a symptom instead of looking at the core issue. At the end of the day, all farm is just farm, and any all souls you get during a game are basically a means for you to purchase tools for your toolbox. And why do you buy these tools? So you can eventually take down their patron. That is the only relevance souls have. That is their only significance. Nothing more, nothing less. There's no point in attaching unnecessary emotional significance to how you get your souls. Kills aren't inherently holier than jungle camps, lane creeps, or boxes. But you actually need to pay attention to are the numbers. How much money do kills give versus jungle camps versus lane creeps, and how much time do you need to spend acquiring them? You also want to think about how consistent these methods are for your specific hero versus other heroes on your team. But no matter what hero you are playing, there is one consideration greater than them all, and that is symmetry. Before asking yourself how you should get your souls, you need to start thinking in terms of symmetric or asymmetric souls. What do I mean by that? Most resources on the map are replicated across both teams. Take the Guardians for example. If you take their Guardian, they can always take your Guardian. If you take their Walker, they can always take your Walker. No matter how many souls these objectives give, they generally offer equal souls and equal opportunities to both teams. The same goes for neutral farm. So for example, if you take your triangle here, they can take their triangle over here. If you take your double slot machines or sinner sacrifice as they're called here, they can take theirs here. If both teams just quietly clear their own side of the map, you are just farming symmetric souls, and guess what? Getting symmetric farm does not give you a lead, it just maintains the status quo. To actually build a real advantage, you need to break the map open and hunt for asymmetric souls. Because let's be real, making an honest living in Deadlock is a fool's errand. You always want to steal from thy neighbor and leave them out to dry. Now let's take a look at the options you have available on the map to acquire souls. You can obviously take the lane creeps, you can take the boxes, you can take the jungle camps, you can take the slot machines, then of course you can take their guardians and walkers, and finally you have the urn right over here and the mid boss. But the mid boss is generally not a means of souls. You generally want to take it for the rejuvenator, so let's put that aside for now. And when you look at the options available, the only truly asymmetric sources of constant souls built into the game are kills and urn. Everything else starts out symmetrical. Oh, the new urn sound is pretty good. Everything else starts out symmetrical but can be asymmetrical depending on where you take it and how you take it. Let's take a look at lane creeps for example. Lane creeps are symmetrical unless you kill the enemy and then the lane creeps push forward and die to their guardian and they miss out on a wave. Then they are asymmetrical. Same for boxes. Boxes on your side of the map are symmetrical. But if you go to their side of the map and take their boxes, now these boxes are asymmetrical. Because once these are gone, your enemy cannot have them. And then you can go back and take your side. And the same goes for jungle camps and slot machines. You can take yours and they are symmetrical, or you can take the enemies and they are asymmetrical. This completely changes how you look at the map. If you have a choice between taking your own safe camp or invading the enemy side of the map and taking theirs, you should generally always try to steal theirs first and then come back and secure yours. By taking their camp, you aren't just getting more money yourself, you are denying the enemy money as well. So for example, let's say you farm 400 souls on your side of the map, you could farm the same 400 souls on the enemy side of the map, but now you have an 800 soul deficit because the enemy didn't get those 400 souls, but you did. And this creates a double-sided soul swing between you and your opponent. And good macro is all about stacking these tiny little efficiencies. And this can start as early as minute 2. If you manage to push out your wave faster than your opponent, then you have a quick decision to make. Can I pressure my opponent under the guardian, and do I want to? And if the answer to these questions is no, then don't just stand there or go back and take your boxes. Try and steal the enemy side of boxes first. And then you can circle back and clear your boxes or take your camp, depending on the lane you are in. Once the mid game hits, the urn becomes the king of asymmetric souls. Starting around the 10-minute mark, the urn gives a massive chunk of team souls and crucial team buffs. That massive injection of team net worth is exactly why the urn is a top priority objective. But you have to read the room. Sometimes you call for urn and it's just crickets. Your team is doing their own thing, they aren't looking at the map, they aren't setting up for it, they aren't answering your comms. Well, if your team isn't ready to back you up, do not force the urn solo. Because there could be 4 enemies waiting at the urn drop-off point and then you just give them a free urn. Or worse, you just hold the urn waiting for your team to show up, but they never do, and so you waste a ton of time just holding the urn over here somewhere. And well, you just lose a lot of time on the map. Time that could have been spent elsewhere. Now, if the urn isn't happening, look for other ways to break the symmetry. If you can get kills consistently and reliably, go hunt. Especially on high tempo heroes like Shiv or Yamato who don't want to just sit there and passively hit lane creeps anyway. If kills aren't free, you can default to invading the enemy side of the map. Take their jungle camps, take their boxes, take their slot machines. This brings us to the big question: is symmetrical farm useless? Should I not push their walkers at all then? Well, symmetrical farm isn't inherently bad. You absolutely want to take your jungle camps, your slot machines, you want to take their guardians and walkers, especially if the enemy team just gives it to you for free. If you have 5 heroes grouped, for example, on the other side of the map, and you think you can just take this guardian, then yeah, just go take it. If you think you can kill the guy who's just defending this walker here and kill the walker, then yeah, absolutely go for it. However, the danger comes when you start sacrificing asymmetric sources of souls for symmetric ones. For example, if your team is tunnel visioned on pushing a walker, while the enemy team easily secures the urn on the other side of the map, you are usually going to be losing that trade. Why? Because the urn is an asymmetric time-sensitive resource. Once that specific urn is gone, it's gone. Poof. Meanwhile, that walker ain't going nowhere, and you can just out-macro the enemy and take it later. You also see if players fall into this trap early in the game. Maybe they win their lane hard by minute 8 or 9, awesome, but then they spend the next 3 minutes aggressively standing under the enemy walker, blindly shooting at heroes. Remember, walkers give heroes a sizable spirit and bullet resistance. As of this patch, harassing people under their own walker while risking a massive map gank is a terrible trade because you aren't actually earning money for just poking them. Instead of forcing a dangerous early siege, just go map starve them, take their boxes, take their camps, run the urn, rotate to the other lane, and take a free guardian. Now, what about the other sources of symmetric farm like your own camps? Is it always trash? Should you not take your own side of camps or boxes at all? Absolutely not. There are very specific times when taking the safe regular farm on your side of the map is exactly what you should be doing. First off, symmetric farm is great when you have an insane tempo and map pressure, such that you can just take their towers while completely locking them out of taking yours. When your team is that dominant, you can force the map because they physically cannot answer you. So you take their walker, then you go clear out their jungle, you take another walker, clear out their jungle, maybe get a kill or two, and if you get enough kills, you just go mid boss, and you are now in a very dominant position in the game. You got stomped. If you lost your lane way too hard and you feel like you're completely unable to provide any value to the team right now, and don't just go hunting for crazy plays, man. Don't walk down dark alleys. Instead, just go missing from the map, fall back, and try to take your own farm so you can get yourself back into the game, get like an item or two so you can actually have impact. Your mean barometer for judging whether it's safe to take your side of the farm or not should be impact. Can you have impact on the map with the current items you have on whatever hero you are playing? If the answer is no, you might need to fall back, farm safely for a couple of minutes till you have that one key item that lets you have impact, and then you go out to pressure their side of the map. The next thing could be an item threshold. If you're very close to an important item and you absolutely do not want to risk dying before getting it, if you're like 100 souls away from a massive tier 3 or tier 4 power spike, do not take the risky fight on their side of the map. Take your own safe farm, lock in your item, and then go use that new shiny item to break the game open. The third one would be if the map is just dark. If you see absolutely nothing on the map, you have zero information to work with, and you feel like you have absolutely no plays you can make on the map, Don't just go blindly face check the enemy jungle. Don't know where they are. Play it smart, default to safety, and go take your own farm until you get information on the map. But keep in mind that this is just a stopgap measure. The moment you get information on the map and you have an impact that you can create on the map, you should stop taking your farm and just go create that impact. If you are strong enough to create pressure on the map and you can have impact on the map and you're just taking your own safe side of the farm, it doesn't really matter what hero you're playing. Chances are you're just griefing your team. So always remember and consider if there's something else your hero could be doing on the map that would be more valuable to your team. And remember, for a lot of heroes, denying the enemy team money can be more valuable than making money yourself. Sometimes it's good to be a millionaire rather than be a billionaire. If you all are millionaires and the enemy team has pennies. So in conclusion, symmetric farm is great. In conclusion, symmetric farm is great when you have insane tempo and map pressure to take their towers while completely locking them out of taking yours. But if you are just passively sitting on your half of the map waiting for the enemy team to make a mistake, you aren't playing. So in conclusion, if you're just passively sitting on So in conclusion, if you're just passively sitting on your half of the map waiting for the enemy team to make a mistake, you aren't playing a winning strategy. To secure a lead and keep it, you have to look for asymmetrical plays. Always steal their farm first if you can get away with it. Because if MOBAs teach you anything, it's that stealing from the enemy is good. It's how you win games.